Yo, what's up YouTube? How y'all doing? My name is Beaker and welcome to my channel. On today's YouTube video, we're going to be looking at the good, better, and best SMGs of Season 6. Now, if you guys have seen this stuff before in the past, basically, I not only do I wait a little bit for Season 6 or whatever season to drop, just in case there are any kind of small patch notes that they make in the few days after, but also I wanted to do my own testing and also double check that with true game data. SMG meta, I just want to start by saying, is so open. You're gonna see in the breakdown that I have of true to game data just how close everything is, and it really just does come down to personal preference. Whatever you guys feel the most comfortable with, definitely use that. But these can be my picks for the good, better, and best. Best, statistically, I'm gonna have to say is the Modern Warfare MP5. It has the fastest TTKs up close, which is basically what we always look for. When you run an SMG, you want to have something that's going to be the best at close range. So that's going to be what that is. Number two is going to be the Cold War Mp5. My personal, I always seem to gravitate more towards the better guns, so it's always going to be the XM4, and then for me the Cold War Mp5, just because it has the best or one of the better TTKs up close. It's actually tied with the MP7 and the OTS, but it's a longer range or the first damage drop off. It actually has the fastest TTKs out of all the SMGs, so it actually works the best in my opinion as far as all around. This is like my LMG support SMG, which I do build a little bit differently. Which I'm going to go over that for sure. But that's the one that I usually go with the most. And then the good SMG, the last one I'm going to have is actually to be the MP7. It's pretty much, again, as we're going to see with True Game Data's stats, the MP7 and the Cold War MP5 are like neck and neck as far as TTK statistics. What gets that little bit of edge for me with the Cold War MP5 is just a little bit more mobile, and its ADS time is actually really good compared to the MP7 kind of struggles, especially with that sprint to fire time. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop over to True Game Data and see exactly what I'm talking about. All right, guys, so I'm going to go ahead and cram all these in here. So we're going to have the AK-74, which, if you guys saw my video before, it's pretty much just a better bullfrog. As far as TTKs go, the mobility really isn't there, but as far as TTKs, what we're looking at here, can be AK-74, Cold War Mp5, Modern Warfare Mp5, Mp7, OTS-9, because it is still pretty popular, especially in the pro scene. A lot of people do still use this thing because its mobility is really good, and its reload time is amazing, so you can get right back into the fight. And the Ppsh deserves a little bit of love because, as you see right here, its long range TTKs are the best in its class. So I definitely wanted to bring that into the equation here. So, like I said, best SMG is going to be this teal colored line right here. It's going to be the Modern Warfare MP5. Extremely fast TTKs. Even the second drop off is still really good, which honestly there are still a lot of fights that do happen right here. Problem with that is that its recoil, if you have it built the way that I do, is going to be a little bit more difficult to challenge fights like this and be able to hit your shots accordingly. And then right after that, you actually can't see all three of them here, but it's going to be the MP7, the Cold War MP5, and then also the OTS. Pretty much, like I said, all the same TTKs all the way up until 8 or 9 meters, and then this is where we're going to see some of the damage drop offs take effect. The first one is going to be the OTS. The second one is going to be the Cold War Mp5, which is going to be this like hot pink colored one, and then the green is going to be the Mp7. Again, stretching that out a little bit, and then having that damage drop off. And then, like I said, the AK-74U, not as fast TTKs, but its long range TTKs are definitely up there. Like I said, it's just kind of a better bullfrog. And last but not least is going to be the Ppsh. It's going to be in last in this equation at least. There's definitely worse SMGs out there, but so it's still beats out the Milano, beats out the LC10, some of those other guns as well. So definitely want to throw that in the equation. And like I said, definitely really good sniper support weapon if you're looking for something for really good mobility, but also decent recoil control to challenge people at this longer range. And it has the furthest damage range, as far as the first drop off, and it's barely even affected in that first drop off. So definitely a good weapon. Wanted to bring it in, but in my opinion, these other three guns just definitely do it better. So as you can see, like what I was talking about. So you're gonna have Cold War Mp5 and Mp7. You know, we're just gonna call it the second best TTKs up close. And they're gonna drop off, and then you're gonna see Cold War Mp5 definitely hanging in there. Um, it the more and more you use this gun, the more you're gonna get used to that recoil, and it has a lot less of that bounce. And then, like I said, the MP7 right after that has amazing, amazing, amazing TTKs. Like I know some people are saying, oh, Modern Warfare MP5 is the same as well. Again, if you've used the MP7 in the past, you know that the recoil is like next to nothing. So it's super, super easy to hit shots like that. Headshots, we're gonna still kind of have the same deal. The Modern Warfare MP5 is actually gonna drop down a little bit, and then this is where the Cold War MP5 and the OTS are gonna take over, and then the MP7 is kind of falling in right there. As you can see, these are kind of, I don't want to say negligible, but we don't really care too much about them because hitting headshots with an SMG at this range, honestly, you're just kind of hoping to hit your shots, right? As long as they're in the upper body, pretty much all you really care about. Neck, all of these guns have the same multiplier from the neck and the chest, except for the AK-74U. It's the only one that has a neck multiplier. So I just want to kind of throw that in there again to show you guys some differences. Definitely a good gun. Doesn't pack as good of a punch for me at least. So I definitely go towards the other three for sure. All right, now let's go ahead and take a look at some of the builds here. So we're going to start it off with the numero uno SMG. That's going to be the Modern Warfare Mp5. Build this one slightly different, and a lot of people use the integral suppressor because it does have a little bit better range. However, I just run the standard monolithic. It loses like I want to say like maybe half a meter to a meter in range compared to the integral, but the ADS times are much better, which honestly is what I care for most when it comes to a close range build. So that's why I run that. No barrel, no laser, no optic. Stock, we're going to run with the collapsible stock, just again to get some of that mobility back, because we are going up against primarily Cold War guns, so we want to get as much mobility as possible, which collapsible stock is going to give us the most out of that. Perk, definitely going to run the sleight of hand, because that extra reload animation when you don't have a sleight of hand can just be an absolute killer. 45 round mag, and then the Merc foregrip, because it's going to have the best recoil control, hip fire, and it's going to affect our movement speed the least. All right, number two, so I'm gonna show you guys a few different ways to build this. So the go-to aggro, like if you have a decent AR to complement this and you just want to be able to have max mobility and you're not really worried too much about range, gonna run the agency suppressor, obviously. No barrel, because as we talked about, as long as you're running any blueprinted at Cold War Mp5, you're gonna get those nice clean half moon iron sights. You can run the target team spotlight to just get an amazing mobility. The stock, Raider stock, just to get mainly to get that sprint to fire time back, but you are going to gain some ADS fire movement speed and regular walking movement speed as well. Mag, we're going to run the standard 50 round mag just because it's the biggest one we could put on there. Then the underbarrel, this is where things are kind of up to preference. As far as an up close in your face build, I'm actually going to run the patrol grip. As True Game talked about before, you're mainly sprinting around the map. You're hardly ever walking or whatever. So that's why I recommend running the patrol grip. So that's what I've been using. I definitely do like it. I like the mobility. A lot of people definitely still want the bruiser as well. This is just base movement speed, so any type of movement you do at all, you're going to get a nice 3% buff, and you're going to get a little bit of help in the hip fire department too. Now, if you want to build it for range, which I'm going to talk about right now, I would definitely run the field agent grip just to get the best recoil control. And I actually ran this grip for a very, very long time until I got used to that recoil pattern, and also learning that after the first 15 shots, the gun completely stops moving. So it's like you have a Cronus, like literally shoot the wall, don't touch your joystick or your mouse, and then wait, like I said, 15 bullets and it stops moving completely. So once you learn that, once you get used to that pattern before that, it's definitely extremely easy to use. But if I have this thing paired with like an MG82 or any other LMG, this is what I'm running because I want to be able to fight those mid-range fights if I need to, if I'm stuck in a reload. And then I'm going to drop the Tiger Team Spotlight, and I'm going to add the Ranger Barrel, because the Task Force Barrel obviously is going to give us better bullet velocity, damage range, and it's not going to affect our movement. It's actually going to give us a little bit of strafing speed. However, because of that recoil, for most people, including myself, I don't want to add recoil to this gun. It probably has the most recoil out of any other gun. So I'm going to go with the Ranger because I want the best bullet velocity. Bullet velocity is what's going to be the best as far as hitting those mid-range shots, because you have to lead your target a lot less. It makes this thing a complete laser beam. However, do make sure, so as you can see right here, if you don't have any of the guns that have a blueprint that come with the Ranger, you're going to get the stock MP5 full circle iron sights. If you have the Paint Blaster or the Code Breaker, like I said, any blueprint that comes with the Ranger, there could be more, I'm not sure, these are just 2 that I have. This is where you're going to get that super clean half moon iron sight, and it just, this combination is so easy, guys, to hit those mid-range shots. Definitely try this thing out. Like I said, this is actually in my MG82 class. I obviously have it with the Mp7 right now, but usually that's the gun that I go to for that stuff. But that's a few different ways to build that. And last but definitely not least, we're gonna have the Mp7. This was actually like my first SMG that I started rocking in Warzone. I didn't get on the Mp5 train till a little bit later, but this is what I ran. Obviously, I have this thing built a little bit differently now. Gonna have the monolithic suppressor, the barrel. Kind of up to you. Me personally, wanting more mobility and going against Cold War guns, I want to have the best mobility possible. So instead of the recon, which is going to affect our aim down sight speed, which is definitely a big con with this weapon, it's also going to affect movement speed. So definitely don't want that. So I'm going to run the strike, which is going to give me that really good damage range that we saw in the charts, and it's going to give me better bullet velocity as well. And then we're gonna, this one's kind of up in the air as far as what you want to do. I run the task laser because I want to be able to get faster aim down sight speed. Aiming stability definitely does help, so that's why we're gonna go ahead and throw that on there. The stock, if you're looking for pure mobility, you could run no stock. Honestly, the way that I'm running this gun is usually going to be an LMG or even a sniper support, so I want to have the best recoil control as possible. When you put on the no stock, you definitely do lose that, so I definitely don't recommend it. I run the 60 round mag. It doesn't really seem to affect ADS too bad, especially when you have the tac laser on there. It's really not that bad at all. Then we're going to round it out with the Merc foregrip just to get us the best recoil control, with also affecting our movement speed the least. So that's going to be the build. Definitely do try it out. If you don't like the tac laser, you definitely swap it out for like the stipple grip tape to get more ADS time, sprint to fire speed. However, you are going to lose some of that aiming stability, which again I think is really important for those mid-range fights. Or you can even run the rubberized as well. You get better recoil control, but again, you lose some of that aiming stability. So definitely be aware of that. Alright guys, so that's going to be the builds that I'm going to have for the best SMGs of Season 6. But like I said in the very beginning, the meta is so open. Use whatever you're most comfortable with and you're going to be okay. But if you do want something that's going to be the best in its class as far as having the fastest TTKs, definitely these are going to be my 3 picks. OTS is definitely right up there as well. For me, just the iron sights don't really make it. To me, I kind of lose my enemies a lot, so that's why the OTS didn't really make it, and I think that the MP7 deserves some love, so definitely want to put that in here. Let me know what you guys are using. Let me know if I missed anything. Definitely want to give every single gun its shot. But again, statistically, the way that I look at SMGs, the way that I use them, these ones seem to be the best. So definitely like the video and also subscribe to the channel. Thanks guys for sticking around to the very end. I appreciate it. We'll see you guys in the next one.